Hello, welcome to Cerulean Arts Gallery. Tonight we're speaking with Kathleen McSherry in conjunction with her Cerulean Arts Collective Exhibition, which is on view now through June the 29th. Hello, Kathleen.
Hello, Michael.
Thanks for being here tonight.
Sure, thank you. I am a found arts, uh, I make found arts object sculpture. I've been doing it for, I guess, over 20 years now. And this is a piece kind of lighthearted called Synchronize Your Watches. And I put a goat on top of it. Why, I'm not quite sure, but it's the greatest of all time goat. So there you go. Um, and I started making it right after I was diagnosed with MS, and I used my needles for a piece, and that started the ball rolling, and I've been doing it ever since. This piece coming up is lit. It's called Blow Fish, Blow period fish, and it it lends itself beautifully to being lit. Um, again, it's a more lighthearted piece. It's taking advantage of the blowfish fully blown, I guess you would call it, and it's got its lips attached to a horn. So since blowfish.
So, Kathleen, where do you find this stuff?
I usually I find all the stuff at an auction near my home, and it's an auction where you can take out bits and pieces of the boxes. You don't have to take out the whole thing. So I look for little bits and pieces that nobody really seems to want or is not very popular with anybody. Although I have done the opposite too, um, and I mix and match the pieces until they kind of I let them speak to me and let them kind of define what they want to be.
So, does the ideas come about from the pieces themselves, or do you have something in
Yes.
mind and then you
Yeah.
look for the pieces?
No, well, sometimes it's both, but most of the time it is me finding the pieces and letting them speak to me. Um, it it oh Well, yes, it's me letting the pieces speak for themselves, and I work myself around it. And I can usually tell what's a piece that has meaning and will turn into something. And then once I choose them, then the piece comes to fruition. Fu Fruition. So the piece that you were just looking at, Hold On, It's For You. I like that piece because taking just the simple act of taking the phone off the cradle and makes the viewer kind of wonder who's on the other end. And it's kind of a back and forth with the viewer. It's an old 1940s, no, then maybe not 1940s, maybe 1950s call box. And I found that and the phone at the same time in an auction. I thought that has real possibilities. So I had it in my studio for about 6 months till all of a sudden it spoke to me what it was going to do. And then I put it in uh, put the phone in the call box, and it wasn't doing it until I lifted the cradle off and put it off the hook. Then it was complete. So sometimes I have to mix and match and figure things out and let them sit for a while. And sometimes just the simple act of moving something not very far just makes all the difference. Now, these are two pieces I worked on together, and that was more that was due to me reading the papers. This one is called Pail of Settlement, and I used that play on words with pail, and I wrapped up the clothespins and put Jewish stars on all of them and tied them together to represent the confinement and the abuse of the Pale of Settlement, where Jews only had one place to live and they were confined into a space. And then I wrapped it in barbed wire to show that they were confined against their will. And that to me is a powerful piece. This piece, that's a chess piece, and the chess pieces are bullets. And I got that from watching the news and the Jewish problem and the Gaza problem was all mixed and matched together. So this piece is called A Dangerous Game in Gaza. And the way they were both countries were reacting, it was really they were playing it like a chess game. It was they weren't thinking about the people who were dying and starving to death in Gaza. So that piece kind of just spoke out. I had a chessboard, and then I had pieces. I had a collected a bunch of bullet casings. I didn't know why, but I hung on to those for maybe a year and a half, and then suddenly it all spoke to me. So I put that one together too. I think that's pretty powerful too. This is a piece that speaks through the power of the materials, and it's all printers' materials and printers' blocks, and I put them all together with a clock and hands on a clock and a pendulum and so a meter and some rulers, and it all seemed to work together in a piece. So I often put together clock parts like this one here. This one I disassembled clock parts, and I made a piece out of it. And I use clocks as I often do with these pieces, and it talks about time and this piece in particular, the unwinding of the winding of the clock just has uh, it gives it a half unwound. It it gives it a special meaning, and you can read into it what you will from that. And I put the gears on it, and there's a wristwatch and a clock face and on a cutting board. So this one here is I call this one um, the goddess the goddess of
It's like ebony goddess of wood.
Ebony Goddess of Wood. Yeah, I lost my train of thought there for a minute. And this is the Ebony Goddess of Wood. And I started out with her and the base that she was on. And then I had finials from different pieces and spindles from short spindles from a staircase and a base that I put the goddess on. And behind her is an old coin changer. Um, it belongs in a drawer. And then I made that the background of it. So, and then put some more little finials all around it. And this piece is rather a large piece, and it kind of it has its own power to it. Um, and it was it it has its own power to it, and it speaks for itself. And the other piece is not unlike the first piece with the clock parts. This is against a a clipboard, an old clipboard with gears and stuff, and again the unwinding of the clock. I believe this one says something about time.
Unwinding time.
Unwinding time, and of course it's unwinding the clock winder. So it I use a lot of play on words to give my pieces a double meaning in some cases, or it, it makes you stop and think with the title. So these pieces I have done over the years. I sometimes work with the clock cases, but in this case, I removed all the clock parts out of it. Uh, and this piece is called The Button Man, and I made his hair. The I picked the most colorful buttons I could find, and then I made dreadlocks out of that. And it the brightness of the buttons and the color of the buttons introduce you to the piece and introduce you to the character. That seems quite satisfied with his own look. So, and this piece is Babies Grow on Trees. And all babies grow on trees, or babies grow on trees. And this is using the gong part of the clock, and putting these little tiny baby dolls up on I think it was it's driftwood that I covered over with shellac, and it darkened, and put it on a finished wood base, and that just kind of asks that you just stay and look at it and contemplate it and come to your own decisions. Now, this one is called Loud Period Speaker. And I had an old loudspeaker. I've had it for about a year or so. And then I took the bottom of a doll, uh, and it has no head, and I attached it up so it looks like it's the doll speaking loudly on a loudspeaker. And that's I think a pretty powerful piece too, and you can infer and your own meaning to it. Now this one is called the this one is called
Salvador Mundi on a roller skate.
Yes, this is Salvador Monday on a roller skate. And it's this doll that I found. It's a French doll, and it always looked like kind of the Renaissance Christ child. And Salvador Monday was a painting of Christ by, I think it was Michelangelo. So I made that doll. I used a tire for the halo, and gave her a leaf, gave him a leaf and an apple, which usually this portrait is they have a leaf, or it's symbol the symbolization of a leaf and the apple. And to make her to make that Salvador Monday fit in the box, he was falling down, and I put him on a 1950s roller skate. And Salvador Monday on a roller skate just had a wonderful ring to it, and it turned this piece into a non-religious piece at once. So I was very happy with the product that I made. Um, and this one coming up is
All eyes watching.
All Eyes Watching. And this was a piece it was a kind of a wooden sculptor. And then I put these big wooden beads that I got from somewhere, and then put them all around, and then said and then this block that was all finished, and it was made out of wood, and it's a striped wood, and finished off. I put that on, and then it once again I felt it needed something, and I put eyes on it, doll eyes, and it finally spoke to me, and it said it's all eyes watching. So it's a small piece, but it's so, but it's a good piece. I like that one very much. And this one is again, I bought that leaf at an auction um, probably about a year and a half ago, 2 years ago. And then I had this groom doll from the 1950s that my mother gave me as a child. And I took the head off it and put actually a real stuffed alligator on it. So it's Mr. Alligator on a green leaf. And it just felt comfortable having that alligator just resting in that leaf. It made sense. It felt right. And so that was that piece. Um, this one coming up, it's called
Color ceremony.
Color Ceremony. And what I did was I took bones. This is a bone from a deer, and this is the jaw bones of two deer, and this is a turtle shell. And I took watercolors and painted them. And once they were painted a color, and I put marbles in the eye sockets of the deer. And I took them, once I gave them watercolors, it became another thing to me. It just became an art form, not necessarily uh, about bones or anything, but became a decorative piece. And there's a marble in the nose too. So but the watercolors really softened that piece, and I added some jewelry all around it. Um, this piece is a combination of two New York beers, Rheingold and Peels, that are no longer made in New York, and I combined them and I called it Two Extinct Friends. And it worked. I thought about it and I thought why it was two kind of inexpensive, cheap beers, but they kind of went together, so they became friends. And I put the what is it, beer opener up on top that fits with both of them. So.
Well, it's a great show, Kathleen.
Oh, I was very happy to do it. And I was very glad that people came by and asked me questions and were really interested in the pieces, and stayed and lingered over it. It made me very happy as an artist to have people appreciate and linger over the work and let their own minds free form and bring their own meanings to it. And I got that from speaking with various people. So I was very, very pleased. Thank you, Michael, and thank you,
Oh,
Tina,
you're welcome.
on a great show.
And the show is up through June 29th. We hope people come down to check it out. And everything's also available on our website, ceruleanarts.com. Well, thanks so much for being here, Kathleen, and have a great night.
Thank you. Thank you.